You're tuned into Recovery TV, the voice of hope, with your host, John J. Tassoni Jr. Discussions and information on addiction and mental health issues. Here's your host with today's guest.
Welcome to another edition of Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. Narcan, please get it. You can get it at CVS, Walgreens, URI. This saves lives. Overdose deaths are down because of this. You can put it in your car, put it in your purse, but make sure you take it out at night because it's affected by the weather. My two guests today are with the Rhode Island Council on Problem Gambling, Mr. Ernie Adams and Mr. John Cipolla. Welcome, gentlemen, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you, John.
So let's talk a little bit about problem gambling. Ernie, I'll start with you. You have a program that you're running right now called the Second Chance.
Yes, sir. So joined the council in 2019, and I'm the vice president now, and I'm the chairman of the legal committee. At that time, shortly thereafter, the legal committee was tasked with an initiative in the judiciary, which is now Second Chance. Second Chance is a wonderful initiative that we created. I have a great group with the legal committee. We have attorneys, both public and private. We have people from probation and parole, corrections, obviously people in problem gambling services, as well as myself in the law enforcement community. And basically what Second Chance is, it's a court initiative that gives or provides the judiciary, judges in district and superior court, the ability to push people that maybe experiences disordered or problem gambling into treatment through evaluation. So, for example, if someone's brought in on a criminal charge of larceny, it could be a whole host of criminal charges they're brought into the court system for. And during their intake or processing, detective or prosecution officer realizes that problem gambling, disordered gambling may be the root cause of what they're being brought for into the judiciary for. They can present that to a judge, and as a condition of bail, the judge can then order, as condition of bail, that they be evaluated for disordered or problem gambling, which we're here to help people, and if that gets them the help they need for that root cause of their criminal activity, then I think it's a win for everyone.
Who does the evaluations?
My understanding is Problem Gambling Services. There are professionals.
Clinicians?
Clinicians. I am not one of those people, but I've learned quite a bit in the last 7 years as part of the council. John and his folks are definitely the professionals in that arena.
Yeah, so if I can interject on that, so to answer that question, is once it gets to that point where there's a referral made, that referral is made to the Problem Gambling Services treatment program, and actually comes through to the 499 line. That usually it would come to me. From there, that person would be set up with an assessment with a clinician, a licensed clinician. Once that licensed clinician does the assessment, and obviously it's going to show that there is a gambling disorder, then they're put into usually outpatient counseling, obviously, again with a licensed clinician. They also may work with a peer support specialist to answer that question.
Ernie, how long has this been going on?
So the Second Chance initiative, we really spun that up probably in about 2021, 2022. Obviously with COVID, that interfered quite a bit with our processes. But we've really nailed this down now. We were shadowing federal court. There are problem solving courts across this country that deal with drug dependency, gambling addiction, veterans courts. This is modeled after those, but at this point in time in Rhode Island, we just simply don't have the statistical support to have a standalone court for the problem gambling. So we pivoted and we moved towards this initiative, which allows the current courts and the current system we do have now, the judges can simply make that referral.
All right, so it's embedded in Superior Court?
District court level, because all initial cases at arraignment are heard at the district court level, and it'd be on the district court judges. And we have met with judiciary. We're working closely with the presiding justice at the time, and we did present to the judiciary during one of their conferences. We've hosted, held a table at the Rhode Island Bar Association's annual conference. We've spoken and presented at the council's annual conference. We've presented in front of police academies. We've worked with partners in law enforcement, corrections and probation and parole. So at this point in time, we're really working towards the awareness. So basically, if you have an initiative but no one knows about it,
Right.
what good is it? So we have an initiative, we have the second chance, we have a training video, we have it broadcast all over our website. Now, the next step is to get the word out, have the right people see it. Again, attorneys are big in this because if you're a defense attorney or a prosecution attorney, and we essentially want to get these people the help they need. Now, I got to be clear, this initiative second chance is not in lieu of any punishment. We're not trying to say
Right.
if you get help, then you don't, what you did criminally is clear. That's not the case at all. This is in conjunction with any court-imposed sanctions. That could be jail time, that could be probation or parole, that could be a whole host of other things, fines. We're not doing in lieu. That's very clear because we're not excusing criminal behavior. We're trying to reduce criminal behavior happening again as if, in fact, problem gambling is part of the root cause of that.
Is there a problem? Is there a gambling problem in Rhode Island?
Again, from my seat, I don't know. I would obviously defer to John and his people. They're the professionals. They're the people treating people. They're the ones in the front lines. So I defer that question to John.
Well,
John,
to
is
answer
there a
that-
problem?
Well, to answer that question, I mean, the data usually is consistent with the national data. Now, we have not had a statewide survey in quite a while, and that's pretty consistent with also the nation too. I think there's just wrapping up a national survey now. But the data has always been pretty consistent, which is, 2 to 3% of the population would qualify, would assess under a severe problem gambling issue. However, the last time that was done was way prior to mobile, online gaming, mobile gaming, legalized sports gambling, legalized mobile sports gambling. So when the new statistics start coming out, I think you're going to see that 2 to 3% nationwide and 2 to 3% maybe statewide go up. So, a lot has changed. A lot has evolved in gambling. Our issue right now, I think, is having the treatment, prevention, education evolve as quickly as the gambling has evolved.
So I know one of our issues is funding for treatment. Has that helped with your organization as far as getting more people in for treatment?
Yeah, so there's now when you say my organization, let me just be clear. There's really two organizations that really deal with problem gambling. So the Rhode Island Council on Problem Gambling is a nonprofit organization. We deal mainly in education, prevention, training, programming like that. Then there's the Rhode Island Problem Gambling Services Treatment Program, okay, which I deal with, both on a consultant basis, also as helpline and self-exclusion administrator. But that's the treatment part of the program. To answer your question, the money directed strictly to treatment has increased significantly over the past several years. So, it wasn't that way, a few years back. There's been some real headway made there, and there is funding now that is streaming towards treatment. And could we use more and have more? But right now, the resources, I would say the resources for the type of treatment we're providing are there. I think there's some more modalities, and again, an evolution of treatment that has to happen that may entail needing more funds.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with this. You're watching Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. We'll be right back after these messages.
And now back to Recovery TV with your host, John J. Tassoni Jr. Recovery TV is made possible by our supporting sponsors and our title sponsor, Kodak. Now, here's John and today's guest.
Welcome back to Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. Mr. Ernie Adams, Mr. John Sapolo here, Rhode Island Council on Problem Gambling. So welcome, gentlemen, again, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
This is a big issue.
Yes.
It's getting bigger.
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit about self-exclusion, so my viewers know what self-exclusion is, John.
Okay, so self-exclusion is a program that we have here in Rhode Island for both the brick and mortar, the casinos, Bally's, Lincoln, Bally's Tiverton, and also the apps now. And what someone can do if they want to be self-excluded, and self-exclusion means exactly that. They can't get on the app if they do have an app, it's disabled. If they want to go into the casino, they walk into Tiverton, they walk into Lincoln, and they're recognized. And they're not going to be recognized right off the bat, but they will be. And then they'll be escorted off the premises at that point and issued a violation of their exclusion.
Is that criminal?
It is not criminal. It becomes trespassing. Once you have 2 violations. Okay. They'll just escort, make it, at that point. But once they have 2 violations and hadn't come off exclusion, then it is trespassing. If they are on an app, if someone's using the app, they can go on self-exclusion on their sports betting app or their iGaming app. And once they do go on self-exclusion with those apps, it will transfer over to the casino also, where that exclusion now is also at the casino too. So, it's an important deterrent, if you will, and it's also a good harm reduction tool that I like to use because it's not forever either. In some cases, self-exclusion, they make it that it is forever. And what that does, I feel, is though it deters people from sometimes going on exclusion if they know they'll never be able to come off. And what we do want is we want people to use exclusion sometimes to maybe mitigate harm reduction, take a breather, and, at that point, we can
be responsible.
Be responsible, and then we can take a look at their situation a year down the road, a few years down the road, whether or not we feel as though they can come off that self-exclusion or not.
Is there any other programs that deter it from people as far as, I know I did the bill years ago pertaining to people who owe money for child support. Is there any other programs or any?
So, in similar fashion of the child support program, so if you hit a jackpot at either Bally's Lincoln or Bally's Tiverton, and you approach a cashier cage and you're trying to cash out that jackpot, if you owe child support in family court, they seize the money and turn it over to family court. It's a great initiative and great legislation. It's similar with the exclusion situation now, and that was recently passed in the last few years, where if a patron in either casino facility hits a jackpot, or let's say they're winning money at a table games, they're recognized as a self-exclusion. Typically, always when you win a jackpot, you have to produce identification, at which time the casino does have records that show you're an exclusion. Under Rhode Island general law now, they do seize that money. That money is then turned over to the council for education, awareness, all the things we do with the council.
Yeah.
It's a deterrent. We've seen it happen a lot so far in the last few years. I just want to touch on something John brought up, was if you're a self-exclusion and you enter one of the brick and mortar, either Bally's, Lincoln, or Tiverton, and you're located, they will then issue you a exclusion from the casino. So now it's not just a self-exclusion, it's basically you don't want to go. That's what you're saying.
They don't want you.
Now they're saying, well, we don't want you, because there is a liability with problem gambling and the casinos as a partner in this. And I will say Bally's, both Lincoln and Tiverton, their security departments and surveillance departments do a marvelous job in assisting with this and having compassion for these people that do have problem gambling or experiencing some problem disordered gambling. So yes, if you come in under an exclusion, now the casino is going to provide you with or serve you with basically a trespass or an exclusion from them, saying now we don't want you. And if you violate that, now we're talking about the criminal element of trespass.
All right, so we all have to be honest with one another. The General Assembly predicates a lot of the budget on gambling.
Yeah.
Okay? Now we got sports, we got mobile app, we got 2 or 3 other big ones. Let's talk about the mobile app, because that's the one that drives me crazy.
Okay. So just a quick history on that, and that is prior to 2018, you couldn't make a legal sports bet anywhere other than Las Vegas, correct? But in 2018, the Supreme Court overturned the PASPA Act, which is the Professional Amateur Sports Protection Act. When that happened in 2018, sports betting could be legal in any of the states. Rhode Island was one of the first, and we had sports betting legalized by, I think, November of 18.
Seventh state.
Right? Yeah, so it's one of 7 states. In 2019, now we hit mobile sports betting app. And that is what has exploded because of access, let's face it. I mean, we went from you can't make a sports bet, then you went from you can make a legal sports bet, to make a legal sports bet you have to go to a brick and mortar, down to now we can make a sports bet right here on our phone. And John, not only is it make a sports bet, when I say that, a lot of people think, oh, I bet, a team, right? No, there is live sports betting now. It's called live betting. It's on the app, and it's during game. When we're watching a game, when they're watching a game, somebody's using that app, and they're watching that game, they may have bet that team, but while that game is going on, they're live betting. They can bet on the next basket, the next field goal, the next pass, the next run. They can be live betting. So think about that in terms of, let's face it, and we talk about it with gambling and with especially sports gambling, a lot of action to it, a lot of energy. There's a lot of dopamine hits going on there. And when you're live betting, it's no different than you're at a slot machine. Push, spin, spin. Well, now sports betting has become that. So again, to go back to what I said, we've treated gambling a certain way for many, many years. We've got so gambling's evolved now to mobile sports gambling. We need to educate differently on that. We need to train differently on that. We need to treat differently on that. And some of that may be, there's pushback on this. It may not be all or nothing. It may not be complete abstinence. We may have to start looking at a harm reduction model, like they had to do with opiates. Not to compare the two, although there is addictive behavior on both. Obviously, with opiates, there is a medical and actual physical addiction, but harm reduction is something that, and mitigating harm is something that I really think we need to evolve at and look at because of the way gambling is being done now.
We got to take a break, but when we come back, I want to talk about high school sports.
Okay.
And what you're doing with the Interscholastic League. You're watching Recovery TV, and I'm your host, Sean Tassoni. We'll be right back after these messages.
And now back to Recovery TV with your host, John J. Tassoni Jr. Recovery TV is made possible by our supporting sponsors and our title sponsor, Kodak. Now, here's John and today's guest.
Welcome back to Recovery TV, and I'm your host, Sean Tassoni. Rhode Island Council on Problem Gambling is in the house, Mr. Ernie Adams and Mr. John Cipolla. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us, and thank you for the work that you do. I want to talk a little bit about 18-year-olds, Interscholastic League. What's going on with that?
Okay, so the Rhode Island Council has a partnership right now with the Rhode Island Interscholastic League, which deals, they have all the middle schools and all the high school, sport leagues and sports that they deal with. We have a web page that's on their web, and then we also have access to all their state championships. During the basketball state championships at the AMP and at the Ryan Center, we're up on those jumbotrons and, our information, our messaging. It's really important to get our message and our name and awareness about this issue to that population because of a few things. Number one, these kids who are in high school, by the time they're seniors or ready to graduate, they are going to be 18 years old. And Rhode Island is one of 6 states in the country that the legal age for gambling, for sports gambling, is 18. The only one that's 21 is iGaming. But everything else is 18 years old. Very important to reach that population. Also, parents. So one of the things that we do with parents is we get up the Powered Up Parent Program that they can get in and they can do, and they can go to our website, RICPG.com, and it's a free program for them. And then one quick thing. In the country,
You're never quick.
20% of Americans, have at least one mobile sports gambling app that they're using. It's 20%, 64 million people. From that number, 50% are 18 to 39-year-old males. We're not going to have a gambling problem in this country, John. We're going to have a young male problem.
We got to go. Thank you for joining us today. You're watching Recovery TV, and I'm your host, Sean Tassoni. We'll see you next week. If you see something, say something.